Welcome, everyone. I'm your host, Mr.Night-Terror. In the shadows of the night, where darkness dances with fear, welcome to a world of chilling tales that will haunt your dreams and send shivers down your spine. Subscribe to my channel and join me as we embark on this haunting adventure together. But beware, once you enter this realm, there's no turning back. I'm Dr. Bradley Hughes. The year is 2050. I graduated from MIT with a doctorate in geophysics and landed a job with NASA. I was assigned to a crew that was to travel to the Alpha Centauri star system to collect data and search for hospitable planets. The expedition was to take 10 years. Since the government recently patented its first ever warp drive, interstellar travel was now possible. We trained for months, prior to our decade-long voyage, to withstand the rigors of space and the G-force the warp drive would throw at us. The day for departure had finally arrived. The anticipation on board the Odyssey was palpable as we ventured into the uncharted territory of the Alpha Centauri star system. We were pioneers, explorers charting the depths of space, and our enthusiasm was infectious. Among us, Dr. Michael Turner, a seasoned systems engineer, looked forward to the prospect of uncovering cosmic marvels that lay ahead. As the Odyssey gracefully sailed through the star-studded expanse, our scientific spirits soared. We marveled at the celestial wonders surrounding us, each one promising new revelations and discoveries. It was amidst this backdrop of wonder that we encountered the enigmatic asteroid, a celestial body like no other. Aboard the ship, Dr. Kara Alvarez, our resident biologist, noticed intriguing energy readings emanating from the asteroid. We couldn't resist the lure of exploration, and we made the unanimous decision to investigate further. The asteroid's surface was an enigmatic canvas, filled with the promise of hidden knowledge. With a sense of anticipation and trepidation, we ventured into a cavernous opening on the asteroid's surface. Inside, we were greeted by an unexpected sight, an iridescent black jelly-like substance oozing from the walls. It pulsed with an otherworldly luminescence, captivating our senses. Excitement and curiosity overrode any sense of caution, and we decided to collect a small sample of the substance for analysis back on the Odyssey. Back on the ship, we observed the sample closely. The substance appeared benign, showing no signs of life or immediate threat. We stored it in a secure containment unit for further examination, eager to unlock its mysteries. Dr. Emily Nguyen, the astrophysicist, hypothesized that the substance might hold valuable insights into the cosmos. As the days passed, the black substance remained stable, revealing intriguing properties to our scientific instruments. However, subtle changes began to surface. It seemed to exhibit adaptive behavior, evolving in response to its environment. This parasitic adaptation both thrilled and unnerved us, for it defied explanation. As the crew conducted routine experiments, we noticed a gradual change in some of our specimens, a minor shift in their biology. The jelly-like substance appeared to influence other organisms aboard the Odyssey, prompting a flurry of investigations and scientific debate. Our fascination with the alien substance intensified as we began to see its potential benefits. The samples exposed to it displayed increased resilience and adaptability, suggesting it held secrets that could revolutionize our understanding of biology and space travel. Amidst our excitement, Captain Benjamin Ross advised caution, urging us to maintain a controlled environment for further study. Yet curiosity had its hold on us, and we could not resist witnessing the substance's effects firsthand. As the days turned into weeks, we observed the black substance gradually interacting with various organisms on board. It seemed to form a symbiotic relationship, enhancing their vitality and resilience. But with this gradual change came a sense of foreboding, an uncertainty about its true intentions. The lines between curiosity and concern blurred as we witnessed the jelly-like substance's influence on the ship's plants and animal specimens. It was as if it sought to become one with its environment, to coexist with the life forms aboard the Odyssey. Our scientific ethics clashed with the lure of discovery. Dr. Kara Alvarez, ever the cautious biologist, warned of the unknown consequences of such a profound interaction. Yet the allure of unlocking the secrets of this parasitic marvel enticed us further. The tension aboard the Odyssey grew as we grappled with the moral and ethical implications of our discovery. While the black substance seemed symbiotic, it was also an enigma, one that held the potential for untold dangers. In the confined spaces of the ship, we embarked on a journey of revelation and trepidation, where each day brought new insights into the alien substance's effects. Our voyage had transformed into a delicate balance between scientific advancement and the realization that our curiosity might have unleashed something beyond our control. As the black substance continued its gradual and subtle mutation, we found ourselves on the precipice of a cosmic enigma, one that would test the limits of our scientific curiosity and challenge the very essence of our humanity. Our journey to Alpha Centauri was no longer just a quest for exploration. It was now a riveting tale of discovery, apprehension, and wonder as we delved deeper into the secrets of the enigmatic black substance aboard the Odyssey. As the days rolled on, the black substance aboard the Odyssey continued its gradual metamorphosis. It seemed to have a will of its own, defying any attempt at containment. Our excitement had turned to unease, and the once vibrant atmosphere aboard the spacecraft now became an environment of fear and doubt. Despite our best efforts, the black substance eluded our detection, hiding in the shadows like a cunning predator. It was as if it had become one with the ship, infiltrating every nook and cranny, and mocking our futile attempts to find it. One night while the crew slept, an insidious act unfolded. Unseen by any watchful eyes, the creature, like a ghost, slithered stealthily into the quarters of Dr. Emily Nguyen. With an unsettling determination, it made its way into her mouth, feeding off her brain and taking control of her very being. By the next morning, Dr. Emily was a changed person, her once warm and inquisitive demeanor replaced with an unsettling coldness. It was as if her soul had been consumed, and an impenetrable darkness now resided in her eyes. As the next day approached, Dr. Emily's sinister deeds came to light. She manipulated the ship's systems, sabotaging vital equipment, and endangering the lives of the crew. Her actions became increasingly violent, causing accidents, and as her and I were in the lab room going over data, she busted me over my head with an Ehrenmeyer flask, just for simply disagreeing with her on the data, leaving me with a gash. I yelled at her and said, "What the hell is your problem, you psycho?" She just smiled and said, "I'm sorry, are you okay? You're lucky it wasn't worse, you should get that looked at." I was okay besides getting a few stitches in my head. The rest of the day, the crew was baffled and scared to be around her, devastated, unable to comprehend the cause of these inexplicable events. Trust waned, suspicion festered, and we were forced to confront the chilling reality that the sinister force was already among us, disguised as one of our own. As we pieced together the sinister puzzle, it became clear that the entity was a parasite and had taken control of Dr. Emily, turning her into a puppet of destruction. It was a horrifying revelation, and fear now gripped the hearts of the crew. That night, as we all sat in the galley eating in silence, Dr. Emily just stood up, grabbed a knife and slit her throat. We all stood up in shock and disbelief. As she lay there bleeding out, we saw the parasite escape through her esophagus. We tried to contain the creature, but it seemed to move with a consciousness of its own, slipping through our grasp like sand. We were caught in a relentless struggle against an enemy we could not hide from. Dr. Cara Alvarez was the next victim that evening. While she was asleep in her quarters, the parasite stealthily climbed up her bed and right into Dr. Alvarez's mouth. The cycle of terror continued. She, too, succumbed to the parasite's control, committing dark and unfathomable acts that left us trembling with fear and despair. She severed the communication lines back to home base and tried attacking and biting anyone who was within her reach. We finally managed to restrain her and lock her in her quarters. The next morning I went to check on her. I knocked on her door and asked if she was okay, but I didn't receive a response from her. I unlocked her door and slowly opened it to find her laying in her bed with a hole through her chest, as if the parasite ate its way out of her. And that's exactly what happened. Our crew was devastated, and we sent her into the cryo chamber next to Dr. Emily. We decided that we must change our course back to Earth. The mission wasn't important anymore. Our lives were at stake, and losing more crew members would only end in the deaths of everyone. So Captain Ross set our course for Earth, leaving the Alpha Centauri star system. As the sinister infestation of the parasite continued, the crew of the Odyssey, found themselves plunged into a nightmarish reality. The once bright and hopeful journey had devolved into a haunting battle against an elusive entity. The terror of the parasite's relentless pursuit weighed heavily on our minds, leaving us sleep-deprived and on edge. The insidious entity had claimed the lives of 2 crew members already, leaving the rest of us haunted by the fear of becoming the next host. Sleep became a luxury we could scarcely afford, for even the briefest moments of slumber were tormented by nightmares of being consumed by the parasite. Each night we found ourselves huddled in fear, each of us taking watch, as we took turns sleeping throughout the night, unable to trust our own minds or those of our companions. The once warm camaraderie aboard the Odyssey had been replaced by suspicion and paranoia, as we struggled to discern friend from foe. Dr. Michael Turner, who had been the voice of reason and logic, now found himself doubting everything, questioning whether his own thoughts were his own. He had become the unofficial sentinel of the crew, trying to stay vigilant against the creature's relentless advances. Our once vibrant and hopeful mission had become a desperate fight for survival, a battle against an enemy we could neither capture nor comprehend. The parasite, with its insidious intelligence, seemed to feed off our fear, growing stronger with each passing day. In our desperate attempt to find a way to combat the parasite, we delved into research logs, seeking any clues that might aid us in our struggle. Dr. Emily Nguyen's old notes provided us with a glimmer of hope, a possible weakness in the parasite's structure that we might exploit. Armed with this newfound knowledge, we set out to create a containment chamber for the parasitic entity, hoping to trap it once and for all. But our attempts were in vain, as the creature seemed to anticipate our every move, eluding our efforts with calculated precision. The ship's once bright corridors now felt like the winding paths of a haunted labyrinth. Our crew grew more desperate with each passing day, clinging to the frayed threads of hope as we witnessed the horrifying fate of our comrades. Captain Benjamin Ross, who had always been the embodiment of courage and leadership, now bore the burden of guilt. He believed it was his responsibility to protect the crew from the terrors that beset them, but the parasite seemed to target him with a sinister focus. As the days turned into weeks, we felt the creeping inevitability of our own demise. The creature had become a horrifying force of nature, an unstoppable predator that consumed the minds of its victims before moving on to its next host. With each passing day, the parasite's sinister infestation spread like a plague, leaving our once united crew teetering on the edge of sanity, unable to trust even our closest companions. The elusive creature had become a terrifying entity, a puppet master pulling the strings of our darkest fears. Our voyage to Alpha Centauri, once a journey of wonder and hope, had transformed into a nightmarish descent into the unknown. As we hurtled away from the Alpha Centauri star system, the parasitic presence grew more potent, and the true test of our strength, courage, and humanity awaited us in the days that lay ahead. Inside the confines of the ship's lab, I worked tirelessly over the data, trying to decipher a way to halt the reign of the parasite. With each passing day, its sinister influence had grown, and we were losing precious time in our desperate fight for survival. As I delved deeper into my research, the paranoia that had settled upon the crew began to affect me as well. Suspicion and distrust loomed over every interaction, and even I felt the cold grip of fear tightening around my heart. One evening, as we gathered around the communal dining table, my senses were on high alert. I watched the crew members carefully, observing any signs of the parasite's insidious influence. Dr. Michael Turner, my once trusted companion, seemed different, his eyes carrying a distant and haunted look. The atmosphere at the table was tense, and I noticed Captain Benjamin Ross eyeing Dr. Michael with growing suspicion. Although he didn't exhibit any violent tendencies, his altered demeanor raised red flags. We knew that the creature was cunning, and it could manipulate its host without outwardly showing its malicious intent. A chill ran down my spine as I glanced between the two, my own paranoia clouding my judgment. I had to stay vigilant. The parasite's next victim could be any one of us three. Later that night, my worst fears came true. As I sat engrossed in my research, Dr. Michael entered the lab. He seemed erratic, his movements jerky and unpredictable. My heart pounded in my chest as I realized he might be under the parasitic influence. "Dr. Michael, are you all right?" I asked, trying to sound calm, despite the dread that swirled within me. He didn't respond, his gaze locked onto something unseen in the distance. I could see the tension in his muscles, as if he was struggling to control his own body. Suddenly, without warning, he let out a blood-curdling scream. It was a sound that sent shivers down my spine, a scream of pain and anguish. I could only watch in horror as the parasite erupted from his body, tearing him open from the inside. Captain Ross and I rushed to his aid, but before we could react, it lunged at Captain Ross, seeking a new host. With a surge of adrenaline, I managed to pull the creature off of him, but it was slippery and agile, changing its form to evade my grip. "Get it off! Get it off!" Captain Ross yelled, panic filling his eyes. I clung desperately to the writhing mass, trying to prevent it from entering him. The struggle was intense, the creature fighting back with an eerie intelligence. It was as if the parasite knew how to manipulate its own form to escape capture. Despite my efforts, it managed to slip through my fingers and quickly slithered away and disappearing into the darkness. It had evaded us once again, leaving us with a trail of devastation in its wake. We stood there, breathless and shaken, as we realized that this entity was not only a formidable enemy, but also a cunning one. Its relentless pursuit of new hosts had made it a force to be reckoned with, and our chances of finding a way to stop it were dwindling with each passing moment. The loss of Dr. Michael weighed heavily on our hearts, and the guilt of not being able to save him gnawed at our souls. We were trapped in a nightmare, fighting an enemy we could barely comprehend, and our once hopeful journey had now become a desperate battle for survival. We knew that the true test of our strength, resilience, and humanity was far from over. The parasite had proven to be a terrifying enemy, leaving us with a haunting awareness that any one of us could be its next victim. The struggle against the sinister entity would continue, as we faced the chilling horrors of an enemy that knew no bounds. In the wake of the horrifying incident with Dr. Michael, Captain Benjamin Ross and I knew we couldn't let our guard down for a moment. We had become the last bastions of resistance against the relentless abomination that had infiltrated our ship. The hunt for the creature had become our singular focus, as we devised a plan to lure it into a trap. We set up a network of cameras and sensors throughout the ship, monitoring every nook and cranny, tracking its movements and anticipating its next move. Captain Ross and I didn't leave each other's sight for a single second, determined to protect one another from the parasitic menace. We placed bait in strategic locations, hoping to draw the parasite out of hiding. But as the days passed, it became more cunning, avoiding our traps with uncanny precision. It had grown more aggressive, no longer content with merely lurking in the shadows. It now actively sought to sabotage the ship and endanger us all. The once familiar hallways of the Odyssey had transformed into a maze of peril and uncertainty. We were no longer safe anywhere, as the entity seemed to lurk around every corner, biding its time for the perfect opportunity to strike. The ship's systems became erratic, critical components malfunctioning at inopportune moments. It was as if the creature was intent on driving us to the brink of madness, wearing down our resolve and leaving us vulnerable to its insidious attacks. As we struggled to maintain control over the ship, we knew that we had to confront the parasite head-on. We devised a daring plan to draw it out, using ourselves as bait, hoping to corner it, and finally put an end to its sinister reign. Captain Ross and I set a trap in the ship's central chamber, rigging it with an electrified barrier that we hoped would contain the creature. It was a dangerous gambit, but we had no other choice. This monster had to be stopped before it killed the both of us. The night of our desperate plan arrived, and tension hung heavy in the air as we waited for the parasite to take the bait. Every creak and groan of the ship seemed magnified, our nerves on edge as we anticipated the creature's appearance. Suddenly, a chilling whisper echoed through the corridors, filling us with dread. The creature had taken on the voices of our departed crew members, crying for help, saying, "I'm okay now. You can trust me," but we weren't buying it. The lights flickered, and the ship's systems hummed ominously. We could feel its presence drawing near. It was a creature of pure darkness, a sentient entity that fed on our fear and despair. As Captain Ross and I stood ready, the creature finally revealed itself, emerging from the shadows with a sinister grace. Its form seemed to shift and contort. It may have been no longer that a foot long, but it was a mass of darkness that defied comprehension. With grim determination, we lured it into the trap, driving it towards the electrified barrier. But the creature was not so easily contained. It evaded the trap with ease, its movements fluid and unpredictable. A battle of wills ensued as we tried to outmaneuver the black mass. Its attacks grew more ferocious, lashing out at us with deadly intent. It was as if it had learned from our previous attempts, adapting its strategy to counter our every move. As we fought, the creature morphed into two separate creatures. They seemed determined to tear the Odyssey apart from the inside out, their wrathful influence spreading like a virus. In the midst of the chaos, I caught a glimpse of Captain Ross, his eyes reflecting a resolve that matched my own. We were united in our determination to vanquish these relentless foes, no matter the cost. In the final moments of the battle, I managed to seize one of them, but it writhed and squirmed, slipping through my grasp like a shadow. They were relentless, refusing to be contained or defeated. With a surge of desperation, Captain Ross activated the ship's self-destruct sequence, a last resort to prevent these insidious creatures from spreading beyond the Odyssey. As the countdown began, we knew that our fate was sealed, but we had to stop these monstrosities at any cost. As the ship trembled and alarms blared, the parasites seemed to sense the imminent destruction. They became frenzied, their erratic behaviors reaching new heights. But it was too late. There was no escaping the fate we had set in motion. In a blinding flash of light, the Odyssey erupted in a cataclysmic explosion. Not a sound of the explosion lingered within the vacuum of space. The mission had ended in sacrifice, but the creatures had been stopped and unable to reach other worlds. In the aftermath, the only thing that lingered was the debris of the Odyssey that would forever be scattered across the cosmos. I'm Mr.Night-Terror, your host, and I thank you for watching and experiencing this story with me. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel, as I will be narrating many more scary stories in the upcoming days. If you have an idea of a story you would like me to narrate, please leave a request and description in the comments. And as always, stay scared, my friends.